Season 3 of Battlefield 2042 has finally arrived, and it is an absolute doozy. Let's just cut right to the chase. This is my favorite season so far for this game. Spearhead is a phenomenal map and continues the trend of Exposure and Stranded of having some areas that are absolute chaos, surrounded by other areas that are a little more controlled and easier to handle. More than any other map, playing Conquest here feels like a stressful war, trying to run from one objective to the next, going from rock to rock for a momentary break from being hit with bullets. It's really a thrill to experience. I've heard that the breakthrough experience is a little more middling, but from someone who plays Conquest pretty much exclusively, this is an absolute banger of a map, not just for 2042, but for the Battlefield franchise as a whole. We've got some new weapons here. The new Vault weapons feel better than the previous ones, but still a touch undertuned. The new railgun is absolutely busted. It's one of the most overpowered weapons we've had in this game. The pistol is fine. The shotgun is pretty good. Definitely a lot of fun and an absolute beast from the hip. It kind of reminded me of running around with the Spaz 12 from the original Modern Warfare 2 back in 2009. The new Specialist is also a ton of fun, and I might start playing him a lot alongside McKay. I think he really shines in more linear, traditional indoor engagements that lack verticality. His ability to heal immediately after killing opponents is incredible for aggressive players, and potentially opens up that gadget spot for something that's not healing related. His airburst gun is also hilarious fun, though it's a little useless against vehicles. End of the day, I think he really shines in indoor engagements, while McKay still probably is the better one for outdoor engagements. From the gameplay side, other than the balance of that railgun, I'd say this update was a resounding success. The overall feeling I get from Season 3 is that we're pushing the pace of the game and getting the player into the thick of having fun as quickly as possible. It may lean a bit on the side of chaos and meat grinder for some, especially those that typically like to just kind of hold sight lines, but playing on the new map with all the new content feels 100% like a pure Battlefield experience to me. And I think one of the biggest things that impresses me about this update is the art direction and aesthetic design. Escalation feels like the most fleshed out, cohesive season in 2042 from a visual perspective, and it's really imbued this game with a ton of personality and identity. The future war feeling is definitely here, and I get a lot of shades of Battlefield 2142 or other games like XCOM 2 whenever I load into a match. With some of the updated voice lines and a lot of the new cosmetics, immersion is at an all-time high for this game. This is also really helped out by what feels like a noticeable leap graphically. I know there were some shader changes to the engine, and it really shows here. The map looks incredible and truly next-gen and full of life. From a technical perspective, there's a lot to love here as well. DLSS got a version update, so expect a much better DLSS experience. My frame rate has gotten a very nice jump, and I'm finding myself often up around 130 to 150 FPS on 1440p ultra settings, which is nothing to scoff at and easily beats out the 100 to 110 I get in Warzone 2 that I previously got in 2042. There have been updates to input latency, and there are a lot more updates on that front coming soon, but the game feels way smoother and more responsive in my time with it. Sliding especially feels like a dream, and there's no longer that slight perceptible delay when trying to slide. I often would forget to slide at all just because that delay would sometimes get me killed, but now I can slide a lot more readily and reliably. I've been really positive about Battlefield 2042 as it's progressed and matured over the past year, and I now feel fully confident saying that I think it's one of the best multiplayer FPS experiences on the market today. I know a lot of people will disagree with me here, and there are huge groups out there that won't allow themselves to have an open mind about this game, and they seem to derive pleasure in the simple act of disliking it, regardless of whether or not it still deserves to be disliked. But if you can just play the game for its own merits and not try to judge based on how close it is to some vague idea of how Battlefield 4 would look if it were fully remade in 2022, then I think 2042 has so much to offer, and it's the FPS I find myself playing the most over the last few months. It definitely delivers on that chaotic arcade experience that I love. And with the upcoming Specialist rework next month and the 2 reworked maps, I think the player base is really in for a treat. Of course, I'd still love to see a fully fledged squad management system akin to previous titles, but for now that's still missing. Hopefully someday in the future. What do you all think of Season 3 and Battlefield 2042 as a whole? Do you agree with me, or do you think this is still a miss? Let me know in the comment section. I love talking about this game. It's one of the most fascinating games in so many years for me. That does it for me though. Feel free to leave a like or a dislike on the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and if you celebrate it, happy Thanksgiving.